Okay, today we are going to be factoring linear expressions. Linear expressions, we know, are those expressions that can be graphed to form a line. Well, before we can start factoring linear expressions, we need to have an understanding of some vocabulary. It says, find the greatest common factor of monomials. You can see that I have a monomial is a number, a variable, or a product of a number and one or more variables. Well, if you look at the word monomial, it has a couple different words in it, and they actually overlap. Mono means one. And then you also have nomial, which means number. So one number. So a monomial is a singular number or a singular term is really what it is. So when you look at these monomials down here, you have 25. That would be a monomial that would be standing as a constant. You have x, or 1x, which would be a monomial where it's just a variable. And then you have 40x, which is those terms or monomials that have a coefficient and a variable. These over here are not monomials. X plus 4, that's got two monomials in it. So we call that a polynomial. 40x plus 120, also a polynomial because it has two monomials or two terms that make it up. To factor a number means to write it as a product of its factors. So factors are those things that we multiply together to get something. So to factor something is to write it with the numbers that you would multiply together to get that number. So a monomial can be factored using the same method you would use to factor any number. The greatest common factor, GCF, of two monomials is the greatest monomial that is a factor of both. So let's take a look at the examples to see how to do this, factor these monomials. You have 4x and 12x. What we want to do is we want to put 4x and 12x like this. And then we want to ask ourselves, what numbers go equally into 4 and 12? Well, 1 goes into 4, 2 goes into 4, and 4 goes into 4. Those are all the factors of 4. For 12, 1 goes in, 2 goes in, 3 goes in, 4 goes in, 6 goes in, and 12 goes into 12. So what are the common factors? Well, 1, of course, is a common factor of everything. 2 is a common factor of both 4 and 12 because they're both even. And then 4 is a common factor of 4 and 12. So what is the greatest common factor? Well, it appears to be 4, except hold on a second. Is that the only thing that goes into 4x and 12x? No, it's not. Because if you notice here, they both have x as the variable. So actually we can say that x is also a common factor of 4 and 12. And since it has to be, we don't know what x equals, we actually have to include it with the 4. So it would actually be 4x. So the largest number and any variable that they have in common both have to be included in the greatest common factor. So let's take a look at 18a and 20ab. Common factors of 18a and 20ab. Well, let's see. 1 goes into 18, 2 goes into 18, 3 goes into 18, 6 goes into 18, 9 goes into 18, and 18 goes into 18. What about 20? 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20 go into 18 and 20. But if you also look, the letter A appears in both, so A is also a factor of each one. So the greatest common factor, we need to find the largest number they have in common. Well, here's 1, 2, 3 and 4 don't match, 5, 6 is not in both, 9 and 10 isn't in both, 18, 20 is not in both, but A and A are in both. So if you take the largest number and the letter, the greatest common factor here is 2A. Let's take a look at example number 3. 12 CD and 36 CD. Hopefully you can tell right away that in our greatest common factor, C and D are in both. So we're going to include both of those letters down here, but we still need to find the number that goes with both. Factors of 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. 36 has a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36 are all factors. And I hope I got them all, but I think I do. So you can see 1 is a factor, 2 is a common factor, 3 is a common factor, 4 is a common factor, 6 is a common factor, 9 is not, but 12 is. In fact, 12 goes into 36, so right away, our greatest common factor had to be 12. So the greatest common factor of 12 CD and 36 CD is 12 CD.